It is so precious to gather like this in the one heart, in the glory. Whatever the mind thinks, there's already a knowing in the heart that we do not exist apart from God. We do not exist apart from divine light. That there is only one power, only one truth, one reality. And because we already know this, we are somehow searching. We are somehow driven through the impulses of consciousness to remember the purity and divinity of what we are, to remember that we're so much more than we have imagined ourselves to be. And this that we call our life or the world is so much more than we think it is. That when we are thinking about it, we are so limited, so incredibly limited by what we imagine is possible. That reality is a wide open field of infinite possibility. It truly is a miracle field. And in a way, in the miracle field, miracles are not even miracles, because in a way we only call miracles miracles because we think that so much is impossible. And yet, in the wide open field that is reality, that is the field of light, there is nothing that is impossible. And in a way, what we are opening to is to see through the mind's limitation and the ways that we live so confined in ideas and beliefs about how this life works, what it is, what we are. That we are only limited by our fear. We're only limited by living and holding the frequency of fear. And when we are able to recognize that that's what is limiting us, then we have this possibility of making the life an absolute committed surrender to keep meeting all of the threads and frequencies of fear that are holding us in the limitation and the belief that we are somehow divided from the divine and that we are limited in personhood and that the story is everything, that our story, our past, and our dreams of the future are where we live. We can open to live at a frequency that is pure, that is light, that is love, and where we can truly recognize that in the heart, living in the heart, anything is possible. So far beyond what we can imagine. We are made of light. Our bodies are light. Our minds are light. Our lives are light. There is only light. Nothing is confined. Nothing is restricted. The only thing that confines and restricts is the frequency of fear. The belief in limitation creates limitation. So where we are living in the belief in limitation, then we are limited by that belief. We are only limited by that belief. And if we have the capacity, which we do, to go beyond the beliefs of fear, the belief in limitation, the belief that we are contained, confined within a human body, then we will stay contained within the limitations of the mind's making. But as we open to the presence of being, as we open to the glory of what divinity really is, the purity and extraordinariness of what we are in truth, the light that we are, we open to this possibility of living in the light of the miraculous. Anything is possible if we are open to it, but most are not, because most are committed to fear. So as these words come, it is just to notice, is there a resonance in your heart to live bigger, wider, freer as the infinite, unbounded reality, free of the limitations of fear, to live as a pure, wide open field of grace, a field of love, a field of wild, creative intelligence, a field of infinite possibility, a field of miracles. It is as possible as you resonate in the recognition of this. As soon as you start resonating in the recognition, yes, that's where I want to live. Yes, I'm totally in. Yes, yes, yes. As soon as you start resonating, you're resonating at the holy. You're resonating in the recognition of what is possible. You're resonating beyond the mind and the limitations and ideas of what this life is. As soon as there's a recognition, it's not to start wondering how, or I would like, well, I love that, but I've got all these things going on. It's not about that. It's about living at a frequency that is the difference between living with your feet stuck in the mud or flying entirely free and living with a completely different perspective. Living out of the constrictions of feeling powerless and bound by my life, my world, my past, my story, my traumas, my fears, my judgments, my opinions, my deep-rooted sense of lack, and opening, because opening to openness, the first miracle is that as soon as we are present here now, we are empty of past, we are empty of the projection of future. We are here in the frequency of presence. Don't imagine that you already know this, because imagining that you already know this is probably the biggest obscuration. Nobody knows this. Nobody knows this. This cannot be known. This cannot be known. It's all about resonating right here now. It's about the freshness and aliveness and, in a way, the courage and willingness to live so fresh, so alive, so resonating in this clarity. It's the willingness to live not on the edge, but beyond the edge of the known. It's about living in the not knowing, in the wildly spontaneous. It's living beyond what the mind can imagine. It's living as light, dancing as light, absolutely docked in the principle of illumination. That there's only one, there is no second. And it is to never forget for a moment that there is only one. And every moment that you imagine there is two, that there's another power driving something, that you are victim and there is perpetrator. It is to remember there is only one. There is only one here. How can I collapse that sense of division right now? To collapse the sense of division right now is to collapse the me and other, the me and God, the me and my life, my past. It is to collapse time and space into the now, into the presence of now. Nothing is the way it seems. And when we include everything, we have the incredible power for true healing to happen. True healing is the collapse of division, the collapse of separation. It is the collapse of fear into the remembrance of love. It is the collapse of all discordant patterning in the absolute immediacy of now, into the only frequency of love. This is not a life of opposites. This is not about opposites. There's not fear and love. There's only love, right? You're either living in fear or you're living in love. You're never living in both. Never. It's not possible. If you're in fear, if you believe in separation, if you believe that there are two powers, if you have a fiber of victimhood still resonating in your life, then this is the great glorious opportunity to see through the sense of separation and to collapse that division. To be here now, resting in the fine frequency of being, is to be in the frequency of freedom, of love, of truth. It can seem like you're dancing backwards and forwards, but who are you that is dancing? It is the fear that is dancing. It is the me that is dancing. Love is dancing, but love is only dancing with itself. Love is only dancing in love with itself. And you are this love, and your heart knows this love. It is about pulling all of the projections and tendrils in and resting so deeply in the presence of now, in the presence of being yourself, being natural, being here as the openness and simplicity of being. And here the fine frequency starts to enliven. The more attention that is placed upon the sense of being, the frequency of love, the more it gathers momentum and nourishes itself. The more there is a living in the holy yes, the more that life is, let's say, created, reality is created in the experience from where we are living. So we are either living in the frequency of fear and the frequency of separation, of division, of victim and perpetrator, whether it's me, the victim, life, the perpetrator, whether it's me, the victim, or the ones that have wronged me as perpetrator. It's about collapsing the whole sense of division. The absolute wild truth is that no one has ever had a choice about what is happening. All that we are experiencing in the mind. And we have the absolute power to collapse the mind's habit to divide into the presence of now. We have the capacity to collapse the sense of me and other into the now, to realize that whatever has happened in the life has actually never had anything to do with anyone else. That we are the creator and we are the power to collapse creation and give it back, bring it all the way back in and recognize the power that we are. And we could say to start creating as reality, as light, to really recognize the power of what we are. And when we speak about being the creator, it's not about being the creator as a manifester of the things that I want. It's about being the creator of a life that is reality, being the creator of a life that is pure resonance of love. It's about collapsing the habit to identify with the frequency of fear and the ways that we live, imagining, assuming that we know how all this works and we know what's going on and we know what's going to happen. We know nothing. And once we really accept in the heart that we know nothing, we can so incredibly free ourselves and let go of imagining that we know what the future holds, that we know that, oh, this leads to this, and this leads to this, and this is what's going to happen. This is the way that life is going to unfold. That there's a series of events, and you just know, well, that's just how it is. Not at all. Absolutely not at all. In any moment, it's absolutely possible to discover that there is a miracle field here, right now. And when we attune with the frequency, everything can shift. The most incredible intensity in any layer of the multidimensional life can heal spontaneously and completely shift. It's only the mind that holds the patterns of assumption. And to hold these kinds of patterns is a protection. So there's a gentleness and a kindness with these ideas because they're so deeply rooted as habitual to just be in the story, the way that everyone lives in the story, and tell the story and repeat the story and imagine that it's truth, but it's not. Every moment, life is offering this possibility to step out of the mundane and enter the field of miracles. Will you take the hand when it comes your way, or will you be so trapped in the patterns of your mind? Are you available to even listen and receive the possibility when it is offered to you? Or are you so bound in needing to tell the story that the mind thinks is true that you're not even able to notice the possibility that you're being invited again and again and again to step out of the mundane and into the miraculous? And so it takes presence. It takes courage. It takes a heart that is willing. It takes attuning to the heart's deepest knowing, attuning to the heart's deepest intention for this lifetime. It's about really coming to the presence of being, to the presence of now. Stop the life of assumption. Stop the life of moving in the flows of protection and listen. Be so still and open and listen. Receive so that you can recognize where a frequency comes in that is a golden invitation to the clarity and the truth of who you are. That you can stop and receive the frequency of remembrance. That you're able to recognize that even if you are spinning and trapped, that there are these opportunities to just stop, give it all up, and just be here. To come to discover the great intention of the heart. It's not about creating an idea with the mind. It's about coming to such a depth of stillness and silence so that you can actually listen and hear the great longing of the heart, that you can actually hear what does the heart know about what this life is for? What does the heart know that is possible in this life? And it's about opening to listen, listen, as the stillness, as the silence, listen to the whispers of the heart. Receive the deepest sankalpa of the heart's knowing. What are you here for? What is this life about? What does the heart know is possible? And it's not you'll notice that it doesn't come forward as oh yeah, I want this or I want that. It comes forward as an expression of a knowing of what you already are. It comes forward like, you are light, you are love, and you are here to be a beacon of light. It comes forward as, you are here to express yourself right on the surface of life as the frequency of love and wholeness. You are here to be an expression of the most extraordinary compassion and hold the hearts of your companions in the human realm and bring the light. You are here to know the miracle of love that you are. It comes forward like this. It comes forward as a whisper from the silent depths of your heart that knows. So listen to the deep whispers. Listen and let the frequency of this deep sankalpa, this deep intention, it's not a programmed intention. It's not a mind's idea. It's a deep upwelling from the silence of the heart that already knows what this life is for. Let it come. Don't hold on to it. Don't grab it. Just let it waft in and waft out. Waft in and waft out. Let it refine itself the deeper that your listening is. Let it attune itself. Let it express itself. Let it bring its light right into the fullness of the heart so that you can really align with a deeper knowing about this life. And don't let the mind come in and say, yeah, well, that's never going to happen for you. Don't get ideas that are just above yourself or beyond yourself. Let the most wild possibility for this life come floating in from your heart's essential knowing. Let your heart's essential knowing inform through resonance, through frequency, what this life is all about. Let living at this frequency be what is creating your reality every day. And living with this frequency of heart resonance will create exactly what is needed every day in order for this to be fulfilled in this lifetime. And it may not look the way that you would like it to look or think it should look, but when you open to the intelligence and creative flows, anything is possible. Anything is possible. This life is not what you think it is. You are not here for what you think you are here for. You are here to live what your mind might think is miraculous and to discover that to live in the true natural potential of what this life can be is actually not extraordinary. And yet it seems extraordinary to what the mind in its limitation imagines. We don't jump ahead of ourselves and create pictures of futures, like I want it like this, I want it like that. If we just live at the frequency of what the heart is bringing forth, it's all just here now, always fresh, always alive, right? So let this bubble up. Let it come alive. Let it come alive in your heart. Let it come alive. Let it refine. Let it dance in your heart as a frequency that creates out of pure potentiality and not out of the mind's limitations, right? So we live as this field that is divine reality, here now, resting in the being. We live as a field of reality, a field of grace. And here, when we are committed to seeing through all of the frequencies of fear, we have this possibility to be so awake and aware that we can recognize every pattern of discordance, every frequency of limitation in our judgments, in our opinions, in the ways that we hold ourselves confined by conditionings and ideas and beliefs and concepts. And we can shine the light, illuminate and embrace and include everything in this oneness. Every time we see a division, we have this power, this capacity, living at the frequency of openness, of being, of love. We have this power to receive everything, embrace it, bless everything with the light that you are. Shine the light as a blessing that includes and shifts the frequency. See everything as it is, not as you think it is. See everyone as they are, not as you think they are. Notice that everything that you think about anyone is all your own gracious opportunity to unravel, right? Unravel the confining patterns that you have created to bind you before imagining that anyone else has something to do in order for you to be free. Clear your own field. Take absolute responsibility for everything that you are thinking and feeling. Even when it feels really hard and judgment is here, it's about accepting the judgment, accepting the opinions, accepting yourself where you are. And this is then the opportunity to illuminate and embrace yourself, to bring the grace of the blessing light to yourself, to see that there are parts of yourself that are committed to dividing and holding certain judgments and ideas. And it's about illuminating and embracing it all, illuminating as the light of awareness. See it, illuminate, and in the light, allow those discordant, tangled patterns to collapse into the remembrance of the essence nature. There is nothing to fix and change. This is not a life that is about problem solving. The ways that we can collapse the conditioned and habitual ideas of how we live. We live with the idea that we have to solve problems, that we have to fix and change, that we have to try to heal. And none of it is true, because there is only one way of healing, and that is to remember your absolute oneness and belonging to the glory. It is to resonate, docked in the one heart, the one divine principle. The only way for healing to happen is to heal any and every fiber of your mind's idea that there is separation. It is when we heal all of the ideas that we have of division into the frequency of love and divine reality that we have this possibility of realizing what is really going on here and what is actually possible in a human life, right? It's so far beyond what the mind can imagine. Will you stay resting in the frequency of limitation, imagining that you know the trajectory of a human life? Yeah, you just live things out, you do your best. At some point you get sick and then you just die. That's just the way it is, right? It's just not the way it is. It's not the way it is. We have this possibility of opening to the eternal, opening to the frequency of love. Whatever this world tells us, whatever the medical system tells us, will we stay in the frequency of fear, committed to the systems, believing that they know how things work? Or will we open to realize that we are a power and intelligence beyond worldly systems? That systems have been created by the mind. They are not truth. They are not reality. And if we believe in them, kowtow to them, and adhere to them, then we will remain bound in them. Anything is possible. We are utterly free, free to be bound and free to be free, free to be bound and free to be free. Great glory, great glory, divine light. Let me know in this moment and remember the frequency, the fine frequency of the light that I am. Remember this fine frequency of the light that you are. Remember in the fine, subtle resonance of silent being, the frequency of light that you are. Do you feel that frequency resonating in every cell of your being? Where you recognize what these words are pointing to, where they are coming from, is where your knowing is alive. This knowing does not belong to someone else. There are not beings that are light and beings that are not light. We are all the same light, but there are beings that are resonating at the frequency of light. And the beings that are resonating at the frequency of light are here to show you, illuminate, and offer an outstretched hand so that you can join in this light, not in the future when you've completed and fixed yourself. No, the miracle is, here's the next one, right now, this moment. This moment is the miracle where you remember the truth of who you are, that you open to the wide, divine, illuminated field of consciousness, and you realize that you are consciousness, conscious of itself right here now, and you open to the fine frequency of intelligence that you are, and your cells and your whole energetic, subtle system starts to resonate at the frequency of remembrance and starts to enliven and bring online the refined abilities to remember, to resonate at more subtle and fine frequencies of divine wholeness. And so as these words come, it's this outstretched hand, this invitation to just jump out of the realm of limitation and enter the wide open, golden, illuminated field of divine reality. Open the landscape of golden consciousness and start to resonate at a finer frequency. Start to resonate at a frequency that is beyond your mind's understanding. It is before time and space and just alive right now. Remember the truth of who you are. Remember the light frequency that you are. Remember the stillness, the silence, and the glory that you are. Stop. Be here. Be here right now. Nothing needs to happen. It's all happening in the unseen. Your job, if you have one, is just to be here, open as openness. And where you recognize the frequency in the stillness, in the silence of being, just open and receive yourself. Receive the fine frequency of yourself resonating in the knowing of who you are. Open to the fine frequency resonating at the frequency of remembrance. To start with, this might feel like a frequency of deep, deep peace, of deep relaxation and resting, silent, still, quiet and calm, a deep sanctuary. Resting here is glorious. If this is where you are resting, rest here. There is also a resting that is an openness that starts to feel the sense of the being itself. Resting here in the deep silence, resting here in the silent peace, deep and rooted, still and profound, sublime. And in the resting here, there is a knowing of the heart, a knowing that knows. And that knowing that knows is where the being knows its own beingness, where consciousness recognizes its own consciousness, awake and aware of itself, consciously awake and aware of itself. And here, this is known in the subtle body. Fine frequencies resonating silently in the knowing of being. And the nervous system is starting to resonate. The nervous system is consciousness. And so there's this resonance of consciousness that's vibrating at a finer frequency of its knowing. And as the knowing starts to really come online, the knowing itself, the being knowing itself, it starts to be felt as more of an aliveness. And this aliveness gives way to a sense of flow, flowing within itself, flowing in the knowing. The intelligence is flowing in the knowing of itself, awake to itself and flowing in the knowing of itself. Light is flooding the system, A finer frequency of light is flooding the system. And as the light floods the system, it starts to refine and recalibrate and upgrade the nervous system and all of the subtleties of the systems within the nervous system that allow us to be able to subtly perceive this truth, this reality. And these upgrades and refinements happen wherever you are, right? Everyone is receiving these refinements as the light floods in to the system. It floods in, and you may recognize and be able to feel, sense the light, see the light, resonate with the light. And there's many ways that you can recognize that the light is here, that you are light, you are resonating as light. The frequency that is coming in is a very bright frequency, right? So the golden frequency of being open to the field of consciousness, the whole gold frequency of consciousness knowing itself, is being flooded with a brightness, a real brightness that is coming in. And it's flooding every single cell and fiber of your being with finer and subtler frequencies. And it is, hmm. So the words will just stop for a moment here to allow the flooding of this bright, brilliant frequency into the nervous system. Just notice what you notice. Don't look for anything or allow the mind to come in and tell you that it's not this or it should be this. Just receive in total openness and know that everything is happening in the unseen. So this brightness is flooding in. Mm, 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 mm. Mm. This brightness is flooding in. As the brightness floods in, the flows of intelligence flow to create ripples of purification, right? So the purification happens more on the level of the surface of life. So the intelligence moves to create ripples of purification. Now, sometimes purification can be felt as releasing of emotions or surfacing of material, right? So just be aware that purification is more of a surface level, and just to allow whatever might be felt on the level of purification that could come forward while we are gathered, or it could come forward afterwards. And simultaneously, there's also a layer where refinement is happening, where this light is flooding in to the cells, flooding into the cells. And really, as this light floods into the cells, it brings a frequency of illumination at this very fine level that is moving into every possible cell that it can move into. Take a nice deep breath. Breathe right down into the belly. Let the belly expand in all directions in the ways that you know how to, not by straining, but let the breaths just come a little deeper. Because as the breaths come now a little deeper, you might start to feel as the breath just comes a little deeper into the belly, you might just start to feel more of that subtle frequency just coming into recognition as aliveness. You feel it as aliveness, as maybe a sparkly aliveness, as a frequency, a vibration of aliveness. You might feel it in certain places in the sense of the physical body, or you might feel it as a pulsing, a hum, a sound. If the system is engaged in more of a purification process, you might feel it more as the surfacing of emotion or releasing. So, or both can be happening simultaneously. So just total allowing of what is happening. Just letting these slow, deeper breaths come. Let the breath come just into the belly. And if you feel open and ready for it, just allow the breath to come into the chest and breathe as fully as you can into the back body, into the side body, up to the collarbones, just in the ways that you know how, whatever feels smooth and comfortable. Let the breath be very slow and smooth and gentle. Gentle in-breath, gentle out-breath. And of course, if you want to let the out-breath come through the mouth, if that feels more relaxing and surrendered, then just feel what feels natural. Keep it very, very gentle. If you want to make sound, then make sound. No one can hear you. You can allow whatever wants to happen. If the body wants to move and stretch as these frequencies are coming in, just allowing the body to move and stretch in any of the ways that feel right. So as the frequencies coming in, this bright frequency, as the breath comes in, it's as if it opens up pathways that this brightness can start to follow those pathways, right? It's like there's this collaboration happening. You might also notice that your attention might be pulled to feel like, oh, I become more aware of a blockage. I become more aware of a place that feels tight. And where that focus is, you don't have to do anything. It's not a doing. It's just a natural happening that where awareness focuses, let the breath bring light on the breath to that place. And then the light will start to just shimmy around, just so gently, so softly, because this light, even though it's very, very bright and very, very vibrant and brilliant, it's also very, very gentle. It's a very gentle frequency. It's not coming in as a frequency that is wanting to blast or like burst dams, right? It's not coming in a strong way, as it sometimes can. It's coming in very, very softly, and it starts to feel more white. It's got the golden undertone of the light field of consciousness, and yet as the flow comes, the flow is more white and bright, and that whiteness has a kind of frequency of purity. It's bringing the purity of remembrance. It's bringing the frequency that is illumination, right? It's the brightening. It's illuminating. It's illuminating anywhere within the whole system that will receive illumination, anywhere that's ready for illumination. Illumination is happening. So just to allow, just to receive, there's nothing to do. And so you cannot do it right and you cannot do it wrong. It's just about receiving. And you might notice certain frequencies and resonances. You might feel sensation, like vibration, and you might feel absolutely nothing. And it doesn't mean any measure of anything that you could try to comprehend, right? It's all about the openness. If there seems to be anything that wants to distract, illuminate that, bring the grace of the illuminated light blessing to that, and include it. Include everything. Allow the light to touch all of your functioning, all that you are. It's not about creating a mood or trying to change anything. It's about allowing the finer frequencies of light that get activated when, as a field, as we gather, the presence of being, the opening to the fine frequency of being, it calls in and invites finer frequencies of light, that we're inviting finer frequencies of light to come in and illuminate and bring remembrance. Remember the wide open field that is absolute freedom. Remember the deep silent peace of the heart that knows, the deep silence of Shiva, of Arunachala Shiva, the deep silence of pure awareness, the deep-rooted stillness and silence. Remember the flows of aliveness, the flows of intelligence and love, the flows of Shakti, bliss, the flows of bliss, the nourishing flows of bliss nectar that you can drink in just by recognizing and saying yes. You can drink in the nectar, the nectarine bliss of being. Drink it in. The bliss is the light flowing, and you can drink it in, and it literally is a sense within your functioning as if you are swallowing. You can actually feel sometimes a physical sense of swallowing, like swallowing and drinking in the nectar as it starts to flow as soma through the system. You can drink it in and swallow it and let those fine, fine frequencies of light just move around and dance freely as love, permeating and bringing remembrance. Remember the freedom. Remember the love that you are. Remember that you have never left yourself. Remember that you have always been free. Remember the great glory that lives in your heart, that the heart knows this silence, knows this stillness. Can you remember at the frequency level that this is the truth of who you are, that there's a naturalness here, a resting, a relaxation here, a letting go, that you're open now. You don't know how you got here, but you've opened, you've kind of fallen through the floor of your sense of limitation. You've opened through the ceiling of your sense of limitation, and you are free, infinite, boundless being, that you are everywhere. You are light, you are frequency, what you think of as your nervous system is your consciousness. And as we have now entered the nervous system and the light frequency, you can maybe feel that your nervous system is a field of consciousness that is open and is everywhere. That you are resonating so much more boundless and vast than you imagine that you are in the realm of mind and limitation. Just to allow the light that you are, the intelligence that you are, to remind you that it's all happening inside you. The light isn't coming from outside you. The light is in you. It's about you turning to the light in the holy yes and resonating at the frequency of the light that opens you then to the vast open field. And then it's like as you make the reconnection with the light in the vast, infinite, boundless heart, then the light starts to enter your subtle body and starts to be able to access and refine. It's like once you're plugged in the stillness, in the silence, there's more of an ability for the light to enter. And it's like, you know, unkinking the hose. You unkink the hose and there's a flooding of finer frequencies that comes in. And it refines your system to be able to receive more. It removes the discordant patterns of limitation that may have served as conditionings and protections, and it allows more light to flow. And how that impacts the surface of life is that it starts to create more refined possibilities to open to the wisdom of the heart, right? To really open, to take responsibility for the life and stop projecting outwards and moving in that frequency of fear. It collapses those fear patterns, right? As the light moves in the nervous system, it collapses the discordant patternings and conditionings and protections that are fear or play as fear frequencies. It refines them. It pulls them in. It's like it illuminates and blesses, includes, embraces, and in this, these frequencies of discordance remember their essence nature as pure consciousness, pure light, right? So the patterns just start to collapse into light, right? And we could say the discordant patternings start to be recovered as their true nature. They start to reveal as incredible geometries of light that are pure, and in those geometries and the purity of the geometries, the frequency gets finer, right? So it's like a restructuring of your consciousness, of the nervous system, the consciousness that you are, to receive and open to finer frequencies of divine wholeness, right? And so it's a multi-dimensional unfolding. So what does that look like on the surface of life? It looks like certain conditionings and karmic obscurations just fall away. They get purified, they get cleared, right? And it looks like situations, creations are created in order to reflect to you what you are now ready to see, right? What is ready to surface? What are you ready to take responsibility for? What are you ready to meet and feel and dissolve through illumination, right? So just notice what is being noticed here. Notice what is being noticed here. Don't doubt or push away anything that you're noticing. Don't let the mind come in and say, no, not that. Just notice what is being noticed. What is here? Receive the intelligence that you are made of. It's not about learning anything, holding on to anything. It's just noticing and receiving the intelligence and the light that you are made of. Receive yourself, your true self. Receive the purity and the light that you are. Receive the love that you are. So the love is the sense of the pure open. The frequency of love is the frequency of openness, the frequency of feeling unguarded, of just feeling so here, so open. Love, right? Love. Falling into love. Falling into the frequency of love. Falling into the love that you are. It's not a clinical knowing of love. It's about feeling that frequency of openness and the aliveness. Letting that frequency of love itself, come online. Love just loves. Love loves. Loves everyone, loves everything. Just love, right? It's this gorgeous, wow, wow, this love, this love, this love. It's not like it's not the same as the emotional love. It's so vast and it's so all-encompassing. And it's just to fall into this love, right? Fall into the wild fire of this love. Let love be in a love affair with itself. It's to be all in. Be all in. The holy yes. The yes, the yes. I'm yours. Take me into you. Show me where I am resisting. Show me where I am holding back. Show me what I am ready to see. Illuminate where there are holding patterns and conditionings and protections. Illuminate all that is acting as obscuration, so that all that I think I am can collapse fully into all that I truly am. Show me great glory, great light, all that is. Show me what I am ready to see. Illuminate and bring a seeing that is brighter and clearer than it has ever been. I am ready. I am ready. I am ready to receive more of myself, to come out of denial and truly meet myself, deeper, clearer, subtler. Allow yourself to be consumed by the light, or that you have imagined yourself to be, to just be swallowed, consumed by the light, right? Without knowing even what that means. This inner prayer, right? This inner pure devotion that we speak of. To be all in. This holy yes. This is all that is longed for. This is all that is longed for. Right? Make it clear in your heart that this is all that is longed for. And that clarity in your heart, that holy yes, it takes that leap towards the divine, towards the light, so that then the divine leaps towards you and says, oh, I see this one is ready. I see this one is calling. Like truly ready. And if you're not sure, maybe the prayer is for this pure devotion. Make me truly ready. Make me see what stands in the way. Help me. Help me see. Help me recognize what it takes to come to a one-pointedness. What is holding me back from a life of freedom and glory and grace? What could possibly be holding me back from remembering truly the one that I am? Let me recognize and dock in the heart, in true belonging. Let me know without question that I am one with you, and that all that is needed is to rest in the glorious heart and light of all that is, and that in that resting I enter the glory and the current that is flowing, and allow life to live itself. I hand it all over. I lay the life down. I recognize the oneness with you. I step into the glorious fire. It's like the three butterflies that Rumi spoke of, right? The first butterfly stands in front of the fire, the flame, and says, I know about love. I see the flame. I see the fire. I know about love. And the second butterfly gets a little closer, and a little part of the wing gets burned and says, oh no, there's deeper, right? I know how the fire of love burns everything. I know what this love is. And the third butterfly just flies right into the flame. And of course, only that butterfly knows what true love is. But nothing remains to tell the tale. Nothing remains to say, I know what love is, right? What remains is only love, only love, only the one, only the flame, only the fire, the eternal flame, the great glorious light that is eternal, the unlit light that is the blazing fire of eternal life, the principle of illumination, the light that is never dimmed or diminished, and that we are opening to remember the great glory that the heart already knows, right? So the heart already knows, and it's to rest in this frequency of what the heart already knows without needing to name it or label it or describe it, just to rest in the frequency. Rest in the frequency of what the heart knows. Rest in the frequency of what the heart is longing for. Rest in the heart's deepest sankalpa, the deepest intention, the deepest possibility for this human life. Right? Just to rest here and resonate here. Yeah. Mm. And so resting here, just allowing this flow of light, this recalibration, this refinement, just to continue in its own way, just to allow everything to be as it is, resting in the being, resting in the heart's knowing. Mm. And just allowing yourself to rest as long as you need to, while you're feeling the system upgrades and refinements. It will feel very clear when integration has happened. The upgrades are complete, but the integration just takes as long as it takes. So just allowing, just noticing what feels different, what can you recognize, what is alive. So just resting here in the deep, silent peace, in the flow of the knowing, resting here in the heart of divine light, wholeness, the heart of the mother, the heart of the mountain of fire, in the heart of God, the glory, in the heart of Shiva, in the heart of all that is. Just resting here.